My name is Alex, and on my 35th birthday, I learned from Facebook that my wife and my family threw a surprise party in my house for my younger brother. Under a photo of her holding a 3-tier cake, my wife, Clarissa, wrote, "He's the only one worth baking for." I was at my desk on my lunch break pretending to check a spreadsheet. The photo showed my living room full of relatives. My brother Landon stood next to Clarissa, arm around her shoulder, grinning. There were balloons, streamers, and that cake. Fondant, sugar flowers, the works. Nobody had texted me happy birthday. I stared at the post until my eyes hurt. Then I opened my banking app. If I was invisible, I wanted to see what invisible had cost. I scrolled through 4 years of transfers. To Landon, $500 startup fund, $750 inventory, thousands more for branding and consulting. To my parents, short-term loans that paid for a cruise deposit, emergencies that looked a lot like upgrades. To Clarissa, classes, equipment, a pro oven, supplies, everything for a baking business that hadn't turned a profit. I put it all in a spreadsheet. The total was $82,000. $82,000 I didn't have in savings because I'd been covering everyone else. I drove home after work. The house was quiet. Streamers drooped from the ceiling. Paper plates with crumbs sat on the coffee table. In the hallway, our photo wall told the truth. My brother's graduations, vacations I'd helped pay for but didn't attend, his engagement shot in the big frame. My own birthday from last year was in a tiny corner frame, me alone with a grocery store cupcake. On the mantel sat the watch I'd bought Landon 2 years back, still in its case. Next to it was the mug he'd given me. World's okayest brother. I took a photo of the wall and the mug. It felt like evidence. Around 10 p.m., Clarissa came home, glowing. "The party was great," she said, opening the fridge. "I saved you cake. Red velvet, your favorite, right?" Landon's favorite is red velvet. Mine is lemon, I didn't argue. I waited until she went to bed. At 2:47 a.m., I made instant noodles, opened my laptop, and wrote 3 emails. The first was to Landon. I reminded him of the temporary loans, the sneakers he called inventory, the logos and domains that went nowhere. I told him the Bank of Big Brother was closed. No more loans, no more investments. If he wanted to hustle, he could start with a job. The second was to my parents. I listed the short-term loans that never returned and the emergencies that weren't. I wrote that a new policy was effective immediately. Everyone funds their own life. If they needed help in the future, their favorite son, the one worth baking for, could step up. The third was to Clarissa. I told her I was separating our finances that day. I was moving my direct deposit, closing the joint credit card, and pulling my name off any new debt. I told her I wasn't a partner in a business that burned cash and attention while ignoring our marriage. I told her I wanted respect, not leftovers. At 5:47 a.m., my phone started exploding. Calls, texts, voicemails. Landon sent 3 call me messages and 1 this is messed up. My dad said, "Call your mother." Clarissa left 8 voicemails that went from "I'm confused" to "You're overreacting" to "Who's going to pay the Wi-Fi?" Nobody said happy birthday. I went to work anyway. Jenny, the woman across from me who keeps everyone in the office honest, handed me a grocery store cupcake with a candle. "Calendar says it's your birthday," she said. I almost cried. I didn't. I ate the cupcake and moved my money into a new individual account. There's one detail I haven't mentioned. 3 weeks earlier, I'd leased a small 1-bedroom across town. I had a feeling I might need an exit. I'd furnished it with cheap furniture and quiet. That night I went there instead of home. At 8 p.m., the doorbell rang. Clarissa stood in a black dress she wore for serious conversations. Behind her were my parents. Landon held a Tupperware container of leftover cake. They walked in without waiting for an invitation. My mom started with, "Family doesn't turn their back on family." "Funny," I said. "That's exactly how I felt yesterday. They wanted to talk." I gave them one. I connected my laptop to the TV and showed a simple deck. The first slide was a pie chart of where my money had gone. Blue for Landon, $18,000. Red for my parents, $31,000. Green for Clarissa's business, $2,300. Yellow for me, a sliver. The next slides were lists of transfers with dates and memos. The last slide was the Facebook photo with the caption, "He's the only one worth baking for." "Yesterday was my birthday," I said. "You were all at my house. No one texted. They were quiet." Clarissa tried first. "You never said no. I'm saying it now," I said. They left, angry, embarrassed, unclear. 10 minutes later, they knocked again. This time, the talk turned into the usual script. Bible verses from my mom, lectures about being cruel, Landon saying I was milking the birthday, my dad trying to mediate, Clarissa asking to be rational. I didn't raise my voice. I set boundaries. "I'm done being the person you call when you need money. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be without my wallet. If you can't do that, then we don't have much to talk about." They filed out slowly. I locked the door and put a chair under the knob like a movie cliché. It wasn't necessary. It made me feel better. I ate cold noodles and slept until my alarm. The next 3 weeks were the strangest peace I've known. The family group chat came back to life with Bible verses and motivational quotes. Landon posted "Family is forever" on Instagram with a thoughtful selfie. Clarissa posted 2 New Beginnings beach photos and changed her relationship status to "It's complicated." I changed mine to single. I didn't reply to any of them. At work, HR called me in. "You look lighter," Jennifer from HR said. "Chicago needs a senior analyst. It's a promotion and a relocation. Interested?" I was. I accepted. 4 weeks. I started packing my small apartment. I texted Clarissa that I'd swing by the house at 2 p.m. to get my things. When I arrived, she was baking. Of course she was. "We need to talk," she said. "We need to divide," I said. I packed my clothes, my grandfather's watch, a few photos from before everything went wrong. On the last trip to the car, I told her I'd already talked to the bank about removing my name from the mortgage. She went pale. "You can't do that." "I can," I said. "You have 60 days to figure it out. Refinance, sell, or get a roommate." I'm gone. I drove away without looking back. I moved into a small place in Lincoln Park with hardwood floors and a window that looked at trees. The office in Chicago felt different. I did the job I'd always been good at without the weight I'd been carrying. I got a gym membership. I cooked my own dinners. I watched my savings account grow. I started therapy because I wanted to understand why it took me so long to say no. My therapist called me a reformed people-pleaser with a PhD in boundaries. I liked that. The family noise faded. Once in a while, my mom would send a verse. Once in a while, Landon would post something about loyalty. I didn't engage. Clarissa sent a few long texts in the first month, then went quiet. A year passed. On my 36th birthday, I woke up to a city skyline and silence that didn't feel lonely. My phone buzzed. It was my dad. "Happy birthday, son," he said. "I'm sorry I didn't see it. I should have stood up sooner." "Your mom wants to talk." She popped into the FaceTime frame holding a pie. "Lemon," she said. "Your favorite?" I believed her. We talked about small things. She didn't quote a verse. She said, "I'm sorry. It was imperfect and late." It mattered. Later, Landon texted a photo of a Starbucks apron. "Got a job," he wrote. "Not forever, but a start." I told him congrats. He didn't ask for money. That night, I got a message from Clarissa. "Happy birthday. I'm in therapy. I baked a cake today for myself. First one that wasn't for a post." I typed back. "Good. You finally found the right person to bake for." I sat on my balcony with a glass of store-brand whiskey and thought about the last year. I hadn't fixed everything. Some days I still felt pulled back to old patterns. But I'd learned 2 things. First, respect isn't given because you share a last name. It's earned by how you treat people when no one is watching. Second, no is a full sentence. It doesn't require a footnote or a PowerPoint. I used slides once because my family needed pictures. After that, I stopped explaining. People sometimes talk about turning points like they're dramatic speeches or slammed doors. Mine was 3 emails at 3 a.m. and a quiet move to a 1-bedroom. It looked small from the outside. It changed everything. If you've spent years being the dependable one, the fixer, the person who always says yes, you don't owe anyone an apology for retiring from that role. You can choose different. You can choose yourself. It won't make you the villain. It might make you the adult in the room. My name is Alex. On my 35th birthday, I learned exactly where I stood. On my 36th, I stood somewhere new. I'm not a ghost in my own life anymore. I'm the person at the table with my own plate, my own fork, and a slice of lemon pie I didn't have to pay for twice. Thanks for watching PL's. Like and subscribe.